Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to test the Unholy Death Knight single button assistant versus assisted highlight. Single button assistant is the tool where it will automatically use your rotation. You just have to press, the keybind. In my example it's just 1. So I will just press 111 and it's automatically going to be using the abilities that it recommends. Well, it's just going to use the abilities that it has inside the script. Then after that, we're going to be doing also a test with the assisted highlight. And assisted highlight is basically this new thing here where it will highlight what ability you should be using, like the better rotation. The thing is, single button assistant has a 25% penalty on global cooldown. So every time you use a spell, it has this little thing spinning before you can use another spell again, which is usually 1.5 seconds, but with single button assistant, it's 1.8 seconds, depending on how much haste you have. Then of course, the assisted highlight doesn't have any of this delay. So technically, on paper, assisted highlight should be better DPS wise, but this is where we're going to test to see if it actually is the thing anymore. Well, I mean, in Midnight they have made all the specs easy and so on, so it would be fun to see where is Unholy Death Knight when using single button assistant versus assisted highlight. So as you can see in the right corner, we have the results here, and we're gonna do them over the video. I'm gonna fast forward so you don't have to watch me sit and do DPS for like 12 minutes. And we're going to be testing, this time we're going to be testing for 3 minutes twice. So 3 minutes single button assistant, and then 3 minutes single button assistant again, and then 3 minute assisted and 3 minute assisted again. So because yesterday I made one with enhancement shaman and people complained that I was only doing it for 1 minute, so we couldn't really see the real rotation, how much after some time. So this time I'm going to be doing 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. So this should be enough to actually see how much damage. But let's get to it. Alright, we got the train dummy, we have the damage meter here, and I'm ready to press 1 now for 3 minutes. We actually just need this the watch here. So now when the watch actually is going to say 3 minutes, I'm going to stop, and we will see how much damage it actually had. So 1, 2, 3, let's go. Okay, so we got 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it was a 7,400. So we can see 7,400k in total was the damage it deals. So 7,400. So we're going to be doing results. We're going to write 7,400. Okay. I know it keeps going, but that's because my minions keeps attacking, and as an Unholy Death Knight, you have quite a lot of minions, as you can see. Like, you keep spawning so many minions with this spec here. But so we can see there. So, oh, sorry, I was actually writing it at the wrong field. How amateur of me. Here, so SBA 1 was 700 and 7,400k. There we go. All right. So now we need to do one more test with the single button assistant just to see how much damage it will deal another time. So let's do a second test. All right, we are ready for the second test. We've got all the cooldowns ready, and we're going to be spamming 1 again. By the way, just for information, I am using the standard default tree, so you can see the starter build here you can choose. So we haven't changed the talents, we've just taken what Blizzard says as, the default one you should be using for Unholy, and then we have picked the one called Set Line. I mean, we could also pick another one, but it doesn't really matter when we are going to do the same spec with all the 4 different. So let's see how much damage we can do on the second try with the single button system. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, go. Right, we got 10 seconds left. So the moment it hits 3 minutes, we're gonna log in, and it hits 3 minutes in now. So it was 6,800. So that's quite a difference. So let's see here, 6,800. There we go. Cool. So now we know the damage numbers when it comes to the single button assistant. This was the 2 results I got from dealing, just pressing 1. That was the only thing, just pressing 1. And as you might see in it fast forward, I was able to just sit and scroll phone while pressing 1. Of course, that wouldn't be the scenario if it was against the boss, because I would still have to avoid tactics, avoid mechanics and stuff like that. So this was interesting. This is how much damage we actually dealt with the single button assistant. Why is there more space here? There we go. Now we're gonna try the assisted highlight, which is gonna require a bit more for me because I actually have to sit and do the rotation manually for 3 minutes. I will of course just follow whatever the assisted highlight tells me to do, but it technically should be 25% faster than the single button assistant. Though remember that I am on the US server, and because they only have a US server for the beta, so it might be still a little bit better when you actually, if I played on the Europe server, since I would be able to cast spells 0.2 seconds faster, but still. So this is going to be interesting. So let's try do the assisted highlight now and see how much damage we actually are going to deal now. So now we're going to fast forward again, but I am actually going to be sitting and doing the rotation that as it recommends me to do down here. So let's do it in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so we only got 10 seconds left. I'm gonna try to do the best I can for the last 10 seconds. It's hard watching the time at the same time, but we got it now. 8,100. So with technically using the assisted highlight, which of course, I mean, for me, it felt like it was actually doing like a really good rotation. It wasn't like a bad rotation. It was actually doing a really good job with telling me what spells to use. And it would also be the spells I would personally have used myself. So I actually felt like it gave me a really good rotation to tell me. So of course, a single button assistant is great for when you really just want to focus on the boss, the mechanics, being able to move around and stuff like that. But the assisted highlight here actually won the damage both our single button assistant tries. But again, the single button assistant is also supposed to be 25% weaker, technically on paper. So, still like, because so technically, if we do the math, if we remove 25% from the number I got here, 8,100, we should have something about 6,000. So on paper, we should actually only have had with the single button assistant 6,000 in total. Well, 6,000k. I know 6,000k is not, you're all gonna hate me for saying 6,000k. It's just so easier for my brain. But basically, we should have only dealt 6,000k damage on paper, but we didn't. The single button assistant still managed to do 6,800 and 7,400 because it keeps using the right spell after, the right spell right after each other. Where with the assisted highlight, I still need to press different keys on my keyboard, and of course I'm fast, I'm clicking as fast as I can, but we still saw that it still was technically better the assisted one. But let's try one more time just to see if I was lucky. Maybe I had all the right crits and procs, but let's actually see now if we can get around the same number again. So we're gonna do a second try with the assisted highlight and see how it's gonna work out. So let's try one more time. I'm gonna go in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, we got 10 seconds left. I'm gonna try squish out the best TPS I can for these 10 seconds. And we're gonna log in on now. So I would say that was on 8,300. So that means 8,300, 8,300k. So just to say the numbers so you all get happy, with the single button assistant first time, we actually dealt 7.4 million damage. Second time, we did 6.8 million damage. And then with the assisted highlight, 8.1 million damage. And then 8.3 million damage. So what did we learn from this? Well, the average DPS comparison was with single button assistant, the average was 7.1 million damage. That was the average between the single button assistant. With assisted highlight, the average was 8.2 million damage. And that means the single button assistant did 13% less damage than the assisted highlight. Personally, I feel like the assisted highlight was the normal rotation. I would myself see that as the normal rotation because it kept telling me the right spells to use. At least, you know, I'm a casual player. So for me, as a casual player, I would say that is what I would do. So as someone who's using assisted highlight, it's 30, you will deal 13% more damage on paper against someone who's using single button assistant. But please remember, I had to have my eyes on the spells all the time. I needed to see which spells is it telling me to use. Of course, over time, in 5 days, I will start remembering the rotation. I will start remembering pressing the right keys with, you know, myself. I don't have to, you know, look at the assisted highlight anymore. It will teach me slowly how to do the rotation. So of course, if you want to be the best and the best and the best, you're of course going to be using assisted highlight. You're going to be looking down the screen. You're going to be learning from it. But of course, if you just want to be able to do the mechanics, don't have to look down on the keys, like the spells and so on paper wise, you're only going to deal 30% less damage using the single button assistant. And I mean, to be honest, this was because I was standing still doing the rotation. In a real scenario where you have to run around, don't stand in fire and so on, it's probably not 13, it's probably something between 5 and 10%. So yeah, it seems like with the Unholy Death Knight, me personally, I'm going to approve single button assistant. And I mean, if you are in my raid team using single button assistant as Unholy Death Knight, that would be fine with me, because it's still pretty cool damage that comes out. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments which class or spec should we be doing next time when we're going to see the difference between assisted highlight and single button assistant on the midnight beta. Thanks for watching, and if you want to support the channel even further, feel free to become a YouTube member. I would really appreciate that. Chasing the, you know, the full-time content creator dream. So yeah, thanks for watching, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.